Good morning and welcome to Missoula Real Estate Today. This is Denny Bedard. Missoula Real Estate Today is presented by Diane Beck of Windermere Real Estate. Along with her trusted partners, Diane provides complete service for your real estate transaction and brings us guests who provide useful information on industry-related topics and trends. And now, Missoula Real Estate Today on News Talk, KGVO. Always appreciate you joining us here on News Talk KGVO, part of your weekend. Missoula Real Estate Today, brought to you by Diane Beck. A good guest to have on. We haven't had him on in quite some time. It's good to have Myles back. Myles Link, the mortgage loan officer with Opportunity Bank of Montana. I thank you for coming back on the show. How you doing?
Great. How about yourself?
Oh, terrific. Good to see you. Busy business, I'm sure. Get the reacquainted out of the way, though. A little bit of background on Opportunity Bank.
Yeah, Opportunity Bank, we're based out of Helena. We have banks, offices in most of the major markets, some of the smaller ones. This is actually, we're celebrating our 100-year anniversary, 1921.
No kidding.
So that's a big year for us. And yeah.
Got any old photos around that are interesting? Or?
You know, I don't know. They may have some of those in Helena at the corporate office, but not sure. But yeah, it's, like I said, it's nice, locally owned and operated bank. And
right.
20, gosh, I think we might be up to 23 to 25 branches across the state right now.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
All right. Growing and progressing. Conducting day-to-day business, is that, if there is such a thing as normal again, is it kind of close to getting back to normal for you guys?
Boy, yeah, it seems like, yeah, it is. It's getting back to normal. You know, the lobbies are open again.
Right.
Very few masks are being worn by, clients coming into the bank or employees. So it seems like it's getting a little bit back to normal. I would say the landscape changed a little bit. We probably don't see as many people come into the office as we used to even prior to the pandemic. I think people have gotten more used to using that technology and to its fullest and not having to come in person.
Yeah, but at least that option is there. Because
yes.
That's how long it's been since you and I spoke. I talked to you on the phone while you were working at your house.
Yes, yeah.
You were spying on Rob Fleming from Man Mortgage, who lives right across the street?
He does live across the street.
You guys are like peeking through the curtains at each other.
Yeah. We have a little can with a string that runs across from tree to tree.
I'll ask him about that. When Rob's going to be on the show, I think, in about a month or so. So I'll have to ask him about the cans and the strings. Well, when a housing market is this brisk, and Missoula is not a rare exception. There are a lot of places like that. Have you experienced anything similar during your years in banking? That's and the second part of the question: how does that affect the way you try to keep pace with all that at Opportunity Bank?
I would say, yeah, the latter part of 06 and into 07 was very similar in just your volume numbers, the amount of homes that were for sale, rates were low, a combination of refinancing and purchases. And so I think the landscape was fairly similar back then in that respect. The difference this year, I think or the last 18 months, that we've seen compared to then is just the workers. We have so many people moving in from other places, or even folks that live here that are able to work remote now, and so that's really changing. We in 06, 07, beginning of 08, the numbers, the housing numbers, I think were pretty similar. But we just didn't see that the borrowers like we are seeing now, where they're able to move here from wherever they're coming from, or working from home, working remote. So that part of the business has changed drastically. But yeah, this environment we're in with tight market, tight inventory, it does remind me of that era back then. And
to your point, that is the one huge exception from 14, 15 years ago. A lot of those people that you're talking about that are moving here now, they are indeed bringing their jobs with them.
Yes.
They're not coming here to accept an open position in Missoula, or they're not coming here, well, let's move to Missoula and we'll find work. They're bringing it along, which is, causing some wackadoodle situations with the employment market around here. As everybody's recruiting for a job, but that is definitely a huge difference in the makeup of the community.
Yeah, exactly.
Missoula Real Estate Today is presented by Diane Beck of Windermere Real Estate on News Talk KGVO. Our guest, Myles Link, mortgage loan officer with Opportunity Bank of Montana. So, Myles, when you meet with applicants, what are some of the major concerns they're sharing with you about the local housing situation we were just talking about?
I think whether you already live here and are looking to upgrade, or you are wanting to move here, along with the tight housing market as far as what's available for sale, the rental market's equally as tight as well. And so I think what we're finding for people that are selling homes, that want to sell their home to move here or sell their home to maybe upgrade, is what are they going to do in the interim? If they get their house sold, where are they going to stay? Just because even the rental market is so tight, I think that's been a major concern for the folks that are looking to sell a home and apply that money to a new home. Is where do I go if I put on my house on the market? The likelihood it's going to sell pretty quick in the current situation.
Yeah.
But where am I going to stay while I find a home? Because that market is so competitive, it could be months before they find a home or get an offer accepted, and that's been I think a big concern. And then the other one is, your first time home buyers. Some of the loan products, the government loans, the FHAs, VAs, rural developments, any of those government loans, or some of our other first time home buyer loans, they're having problems even when they find a home, putting an offer in, getting it accepted, because you figure if you're competing against 5 to 10 other offers, and a seller sees maybe a borrower that's putting 6 figures down versus someone that's putting 3% down or using a first time home buyer type loan, a lot of sellers just aren't accepting some of those offers. And so I really feel for the folks that are trying to get into their first home. And one, the prices, that's a difficult jump from the rental market to the price of a new home, but also just trying to, utilize some of those great products out there to get into a home and having sellers not accept those offers,
Yeah. I want you to talk more about some of those offers a bit later on in the show here. Missoula Real Estate Today, presented by Diane Beck of Windermere Real Estate, and our guest, Myles Link, mortgage loan officer with Opportunity Bank of Montana. Let's talk about preparation first, though, Myles. Are prospective home buyers, are they coming in more prepared than ever? If so, what are you seeing them do more of ahead of time than in years past?
Yeah, I think the biggest, and we've always, agents have harped on it. We have, is getting pre-approved before you go looking for homes. One, to find out where you land as far as, how much you can qualify for. But two, to be armed with that pre-approval letter when you're putting in the offer, because it is such a competitive market. I think we're seeing more people really taking that first step of meeting with the loan officer, with the bank, and getting pre-approved prior to looking for homes. And if they're not, agents it's pretty cut and dry. You need to get pre-approved and have that letter handy, or else, we're not even going to be able to compete with an offer. So I think that's changed, where people used to meet with an agent, go look at some homes, and then, we might need to get pre-approved. Well, now it's definitely in the forefront that's the first step you need to take.
Yeah. How about probably a silly question here? Has the average home loan amount being requested? You mentioned a few minutes ago, the bigger the down payment, the more buying power you potentially have. But setting that aside, has the average home loan amount being requested, has that gone up drastically?
I think yes, it has. We have seen a large percentage of borrowers coming in with a lot more money down than they did in the past. But I think that the price of homes is also outpaced some of those down payments, and so I don't know percentages offhand, but I definitely we're seeing loan amounts considerably higher than we've seen in past years. Yeah. And I see some incomes going up too, so I wouldn't say that the percentage of the house payment to income's changed much, and maybe just folks can afford a little bit more a home with the way wages have gone up a little bit. But yeah, the cost of homes and the loan amounts have definitely went up substantially.
Yeah. I suppose too that kind of lends itself to, no pun intended there, lends itself to preparation that you were just talking about a few minutes ago. If you are able to really plan and organize and you have the means, well, we ought to start, if we're going to make this move, we're going to do this, hopefully sooner than later, we're going to do this, then maybe we ought to do what we can to start setting more aside as part of our down payment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're seeing that. And also if somebody's selling a current home, with them realizing that they're going to have to pay a little bit more than they maybe thought in the beginning or a year ago or what have you. Yeah. What I'm seeing is a lot of borrowers selling a home, and then they're taking a portion of those proceeds and just paying down some other items. Maybe they have a car, maybe they have some student loans, or to bring that overall monthly overall monthly obligations down. Yeah. So then they feel more comfortable, qualifying for a little more house payment because they've been able to take advantage of an equity on a prior home to eliminate some of that other debt that they might have outstanding.
Has it surprised you, somebody in the business and around it every day, that the lower interest rates, they're still the norm? Do you see any scenarios where that could change quickly?
Oh boy, I don't know.
Do you not want to answer that?
I've been, I don't know, what is it, 21 years, whatever.
Well, yeah.
I never thought that we would ever see rates where they are now. I just never fathomed it.
You never thought they would ever be this low?
Gosh, no. When we got below 4% and in the threes, I thought that was great. And when we got below, below 3% for a 30-year fixed mortgage, I just thought it would never come. We did see a little bit of a bump up at the beginning of this year when things started to open up and people were out and about more. The outlook for businesses that were maybe struggling, that kind of shifted, and so the markets shifted and rates started to rise with that. Now, as of late, we're seeing them not get back down to where they were, mid to latter 2020, but we still dropped back below. We were above 3% for a little while there on a 30-year fix, and we're back down below. And I think, the markets are reacting to, unfortunately, maybe some fear that things may slow down a little bit from the ability to go out and about maskless, and I think there's some fear there, and so the markets are reacting, and we're seeing, of course, rates start to slide back again, down, and so. No, it's kind of the perfect storm with the way rates are, and it's created kind of an interesting dynamic. And some folks are, taking equity out of their home and staying in place, and some folks are able to take some of that equity and buy other things, So you hear it in all the markets, whether you're buying a motor home or a boat or a home. I mean, it just seems like appliances. It seems like everything is tight right now. There's just not a lot available.
And it was small enough of a speed bump, if you will. You talked about that little bit of a jump, and now coming back the other way. But to hear you tell it doesn't sound like it was really a significant number that phased anybody at the time.
No, yeah, and when the thing that's different, like we were talking about the housing market in 07, 08, the housing market was tight like it is now, but it wasn't everything else. Like in our construction, we have a construction product, and people are building homes, and the cost of lumbers, has went up, and now it's sliding back down. But lumber, appliances, all those things it's a tight market right now, and so that has created, even in the building industry, some people putting, halting some of their projects or being over on their projects, or hey, our house is almost done, but we still don't have appliances, so we can't. So that's something that's different, and that's from, I think some closures of a lot of industries temporarily that put things backed up and in a lot of industries. And so that's something we didn't see in that when we had that housing boom in the mid 2000s, so it's kind of a new thing,
Yeah. Oh, in many, many, many ways.
Yeah.
Missoula Real Estate Today, presented by Diane Beck of Windermere Real Estate on News Talk KGVO. Also, thanks to some of Diane's marketing partners that help bring you Missoula Real Estate Today every weekend. And that would include Myles Link of Opportunity Bank of Montana. I've heard of that guy. Rob Fleming with Man Mortgage, and Carol Blodgett from MakeItMissoula.com. And we'll get back to Myles here in a moment, but we want to share the Becktacular listing of the week from Diane Beck. 17605 Calamity Lane. That's in Huson, folks. Amazing views, privacy, seclusion, a Montana dream home. Owner, builder, built for the family. All the bells and whistles there. Everything on one level. Open concept, split plan. Primary on one side, private access to a deck, and the other 3 bedrooms on the other. Features like vaulted ceilings throughout, surround sound in the living area, primary bed, bath, and back deck. Great big cook's kitchen, awesome island, a lot of room for entertaining. And again, views from every single room. Outdoor area with RV hookups, including power and sewer. That's already there. A lot of room to roam in every direction with a landscaped yard, a fire pit, endless opportunities. This goes on and on. 17605 Calamity Lane in Huson. If you'd like a complete rundown of Diane's listings, you can check out our website, MoveToMissoula.com. MoveToMissoula.com, the number 2, that is. And that's where you'll find info on 17605 Calamity Lane in Huson. And back to Myles Link with Opportunity Bank of Montana here on the Real Estate Today show. Myles, do you feel it has it incentivized borrowers to maybe take more risk than they would in a slightly higher interest rate and buyer's market climate? I should have probably asked you that before I went to the Diane Beck listing, because we were talking about the interest rates and where they're at and kind of where they've stayed. But is that kind of keeping buyers motivated? They're pretty confident that, seems like those numbers, that percentage number, that's going to be there for a while, or at least pretty close to where it is now.
Yeah, I think, markets can change drastically pretty quick, but in general, we've been in this kind of arena for over 18 months, and it even started a little bit before that. We've probably 24 months ago, the housing market started to take off, and then, of course, everything else happened to go along with it. I think a lot of borrowers, when they're first, and Diane can speak to this, but when it seems to me, when they first start looking for homes, they have a figure in mind that they feel comfortable with or that they're willing to go to. And then I think, sometimes we'll have folks pre-approved for 4 to 6 months, and they put in multiple offers. And I think what I see is, as they put in offers and not get the property, then they start realizing, okay, I do have to go a little bit above list on some of these properties, or I have to go higher than I expected. And I think the reality sets in after you've, maybe put in 5 to 6 offers and haven't gotten any, and then you realize, well, boy, I'm going to have to take a little more risk here and offer a little more than I wanted to if I'm going to get something. And I think when the rates are down, I think it also creates, people want to take advantage of that. So they're willing to maybe go a little higher because they haven't been able to find the property. They're willing to go a little higher because they want to take advantage of this interest rate situation we're in. And I think in general, I think people, the whole housing scene right now is kind of maybe taking them out of their comfort zone to a point. Some folks, and some people, they want to live in Missoula, Montana, regardless. So yeah.
Gosh, that's got to be a frustrating scenario, though. Is there a statute of limitations on the pre-approval thing? Are you only pre-approved for so long?
Yeah. So what happens is your initial pre-approval is good for typically 120 days, depending on the loan product, 90 to 120 days. So After that 120 days, if they're still actively, we reach out to them periodically just to check in and see how it's going and has anything changed. And then after that point, then we have a conversation. Are you still, actively looking? And if you are, we need to re-up your pre-approval, which may, depending on the situation, we may need some updated documentation. But the main thing there is the credit report. The credit report expires after that 4-month period, so we need to update that credit report.
Oh, okay. So it's not just a matter of extending.
Yeah. So it doesn't take much to update that pre-approval because we have all that initial data, but there is a limitation, and that's when we have the conversation because depending on the individual or individuals, they may be done looking after 4 months and get frustrated, but some people are really in a situation, maybe they've sold their house already or living in somewhere temporary, so they're pretty aggressive as far as the looking for homes.
Yeah. I want to pick up on something we started or continue on something we talked about earlier in the show. Some common mistakes potential borrowers make that might cause them to be declined, and are there ways to avoid those mistakes?
I think the biggest surprise that some people have when they're moving here is, we've had it's less so now, but in the first 6 months of 2020, a lot of companies were allowing people to work remote. But it wasn't a permanent remote. Yeah. It was a remote job until we call you back remote. So whatever that might be. And I had a lot of calls last year. Hey, I'm working remote. I'm living in Missoula. I want to buy a home. And, we have to have that conversation. Is this a permanent remote position to where your employer isn't going to have you come back? Or is it, or is it temporary? And we have to get a letter that states that they can move to Missoula and work remote, and it isn't going to impact their job or income level. And that's an eye-opening experience for a lot of people because they just assumed they got rid of their rental or whatever they had wherever they lived, moved to Missoula, living in a rental here or the extended stays or what, and then they start looking for a home and then realize, well, we can't get you approved if it's not a permanent remote job, and some people just, they didn't really think thoroughly through that. So we did have some situations arise last year where they, put all their stuff and packed up and moved and didn't realize that, you might not be able to get qualified for that home, based on the fact you may have to go back to wherever, next year.
Man, that's a great example. What are some of the steps Opportunity Bank takes to help borrowers determine which type of mortgage is best for them? We were talking earlier about, the conventional FHA, length of term, et cetera, things like that. But what are some of the things that you can do, prior research or prep that can help people with that process? Because that's a big menu anymore.
It is, and I think the biggest, up front, the main things that we start with, or at least myself, is, income level, down payment. Those are the two big, of course, credit's going to play into any loan type, but the income level and down payment are a big one because that's going to help you determine, if your income level is outside of any of the parameters for, say, the first-time homebuyer programs or some of those loan programs, or if you have a substantial or even a decent down payment, it may be beneficial to go with a program that requires that down payment versus one that doesn't, just based on your situation. And credit's such a big thing right now, from interest rates to, if you don't have, like on a conventional loan, the 20% down, you have the private mortgage insurance, which we've talked about before, and that's just a security for the lender in case of foreclosure. But all those rates, mortgage insurance, any more your homeowner's insurance, even a lot of your homeowner's insurance companies, those are all credit driven. And so, making your payments and keeping everything current and trying to keep your debt service low can help you on a lot of fronts when it comes to buying a home.
Missoula Real Estate Today, presented by Diane Beck of Windermere Real Estate. Our guest, Myles Link, Mortgage Loan Officer, Opportunity Bank of Montana. Any particular programs, Myles, you really like for first-time home buyers?
A lot of first-time home. We have a great 3% down conventional loan that is designed for first-time home buyers. And the nice thing about that loan right now in the current market situation is sometimes the sellers, if they see one of the government programs on an offer versus some of the other offers they may getting, it's been a very beneficial loan. One of them has an income limit, one of them does not, and it's a 3% down conventional. And so the nice thing about that program, and I've used it, quite often for first-time home buyers in the last year, is it's a conventional loan, and so it stacks up pretty well when you're competing for a property with other borrowers that are maybe using a conventional loan. Of course, we still have the RD rural development backed by the USDA that's outside the city limits, income-driven loan. That's a zero down, but it's just a little bit more difficult in this current market sometimes to get an offer with one of those other programs. So that 3% conventional has been a great first-time home buyer loan this year.
Good. Opportunity Bank is involved in so many community events. Are you seeing some of that coming back after over a year's hiatus?
Yeah, I think. I don't know the answer to that, but yeah, it seems like we're seeing more and more convention type situations that we're sponsoring, and people are getting out and about again. And beforehand, when you weren't, there were no large groups, and there wasn't any, weren't any builder things going on. Right. The realtors weren't having their golf tournament, the MOR. We're seeing those things kind of come back to life this year, and so this summer. And so, yeah, we're able to be involved in a lot of those things, and we just cross our fingers that kind of continues, right?
Oh, of course. Yeah, I think a lot of people feel the same way. Before I let you tout Opportunity Bank, there was one I did miss here that I wanted to ask you about. Online applications, more and more common. Do those require a lot of extra scrutiny on your part? And if so, can that delay the process at all?
We are seeing... We've always had not always, but for years we had that technology to do the online applications and everything. I was used to paper. I just I really didn't utilize that very often. And this year, a majority of the loan applications do come in online.
Okay.
It takes a little bit of extra time probably on the applicant's part, but the nice thing is then the loan or the application comes to me in electronic form. I can pick up the phone then and clean it up pretty quick. And we have seen all generations, which that's kind of an interesting thing. There's some other older generations that are utilizing the online app that I never thought would. And that's also given the ability to do things a little more remotely, even from a loan officer perspective. If I need to work at the home office for a day for whatever reason, that online application works perfectly, so, and we really still aren't seeing as many people coming into the office. Boy, they're using that technology to its fullest. And I think it's probably on my end is a little more efficient as far as me being able to put more and more applications on in a shorter period of time.
Yeah. All right. Final minute here. It's time for your free commercial. Why is Opportunity Bank a great place to do business?
Well, with everything, you always harp local, right?
Yeah.
So, being a Montana-based bank, we do lend in most of the West, but we're based in Montana. Local underwriting, everything's done locally. We do have all the technology of the big banks, but we're Montana-based. You always have a branch to go into and see a person if you want to. And we've been around for 100 years, and so that track record speaks volume.
Myles Link, mortgage loan officer with Opportunity Bank of Montana, on this week's Missoula Real Estate Program. Good seeing you. Come back sooner than the last time.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, nice to see you. Thanks for having me again.
Thank you for listening to Missoula Real Estate Today, presented by Diane Beck of Windermere Real Estate. Email dianebeck@windermere.com, or for a complete directory of Diane's listings, visit move2missoula.com. That's move2missoula.com. We'll see you next time on Missoula Real Estate Today.